Hello again. Today I want to talk to you about a part of the country which is much neglected and not much known outside the immediate area. Cresswell Craggs is an enclosed limestone gorge on the border between Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire in England. The cliffs in the ravine contain several caves that were occupied during the last ice age between about 43,000 and 10,000 years ago. These caves contain the northernmost cave art in Europe. The evidence of occupation is regarded as internationally unique in demonstrating how prehistoric people managed to live at the extreme northernmost limits of their territory during the late Pleistocene period. Not only is the area just lovely to walk around in, but in the caves around the ravine there is evidence of Neolithic, Bronze Age, Roman and post-medieval activity. In 2003, in Churchhole Cave, one of the caves in the ravine, engravings and bas-reliefs were found on the walls and ceilings, an important find as it had previously been thought that no British cave art existed. This is an example of one of the carvings on the rock. Whilst this is a beautiful, calm, idyllic place to walk around in, exciting archaeological discoveries continue to be made. In late 2019, a huge collection of so-called witch marks was found in a previously undiscovered cave. These are ritualistic protection marks and most commonly found in historic churches and houses, near entrance points like doorways, windows, fireplaces, and they were there to protect the superstitious inhabitants from evil spirits. The marks are hidden from public view in an inaccessible chamber of a cave in the gorge. However, new technology will allow visitors to share the mysterious place and allow them to see the ritualistic marks. It takes less than an hour to drive from Nottingham to this beautiful and interesting spot, and only another 10 minutes to get to the Dukeries. This is an area of Nottinghamshire so called because it contained 4 ducal seats. The estates were not just linked by geography, but by lineage as well, because when Bess of Hardwicke married Sir William Cavendish in 1547, she planted an enormous family tree in the Midlands. Between their 6 surviving children, the family went on to occupy all of the Dukeries estates in one form or another. The first of these was Worksop Manor, a Grade 1 listed 18th century country house now, but originally built in the 1580s for the 6th Earl of Shrewsbury, probably designed by Robert Smithson, who built Woollerton Hall at Nottingham and soon afterwards the famous Hardwicke Hall. This burnt down in 1761, and later that year James Payn was commissioned to build a replacement. Only one wing of the replacement was finished when work stopped on the house in 1767. Worksop Manor has been described as the finest of the 4 houses, but it was and remains the most secretive of the estates. It's guarded from public view, it strives to avoid publicity, and remains in private ownership. It is the home of the Worksop Manor stud. Thoresby Hall was the seat of the Dukes of Kingston. This title died out in the 18th century and it became the home of the Earls Manvers. It was held by the family for many years until recently it was bought by Warner Hotels and turned into a large country house hotel. Clumber House was the seat of the Dukes of Newcastle. The building was demolished in the 1930s, but the park, minus the demolished mansion, became one of the National Trust's crown jewels. It still contains the longest double avenue of lime trees in Europe, created by the 5th Duke of Newcastle in the 19th century and extending for more than 2 miles. Welbeck Abbey was originally a monastery founded in the 12th century. At the dissolution of the monasteries, the site was granted by Henry VIII to a Richard Whalley of Scriveton. Eventually it was owned by William Cavendish, another son of Bess of Hardwicke, and he became the 1st Duke of Newcastle. It remained in their ownership until the 18th century, when it passed through an heiress into the Bentinck family and became the seat of the Earls and Dukes of Portland. These 4 estates all lie within the very famous Sherwood Forest, exemplified here by the major oak, an oak tree which has stood for upwards of 1,000 years. The house continued to be occupied by the succeeding dukes. During the First World War, the kitchen block was used as an army hospital, and after World War II, it was let by the dukes to the Ministry of Defence and operated as Welbeck College, an army training college, until 2005. At this time, Lady Anne, the unmarried elder daughter of the 7th Duke, lived there and owned most of the estate until her death in 2008, when it was inherited by the son of her younger sister, William Henry Parente. Since 2005, Welbeck Abbey has been his home and his family's. Arguably the most interesting of the dynasty was the 5th Duke of Portland. He inherited the title in 1854. He was well known for his eccentricity. He didn't want to meet people and never invited anybody to his home. He employed hundreds through his various construction projects, and although well paid, the employees were not allowed to speak to him or acknowledge him. The one worker who did raise his hat to the Duke was promptly dismissed. He also insisted on a chicken roasting at all hours of the day, and the servants would bring him his food on heated trucks that ran on rails through the tunnels. There was a vast complex of underground rooms and tunnels. The tunnels were reputed to have totaled 15 miles in length, and they connected various underground chambers, all of which had to be painted pink. An immense riding house was built, nearly 400 foot long. At the time it was the 2nd largest riding house in the world, exceeded only by the huge manege, which is adjacent to the Kremlin in Moscow. The ballroom reportedly had a hydraulic lift that could carry 20 guests from the surface, and a ceiling that was painted as a giant sunset. However, the Duke never organised any dances in the ballroom. When the 5th Duke died in 1879, the house had fallen into a state of disrepair. The 6th Duke repaired it, and it became notable as a centre of late Victorian and Edwardian upper-class society. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand accepted an invitation from the 6th Duke to stay at Welbeck Abbey and arrived with his wife by train on the 22nd of November 1913. This was just 10 months before his assassination, which triggered World War I. The Archduke narrowly avoided being killed in a hunting accident during his stay, when a loader fell and caused a shotgun to go off within feet of the Duke and his host. When the family moved back in 2005, they formed the Welbeck Estates Company and the charitable Harley Foundation. They have then converted some of the estate buildings to new uses. This includes a range of craft workshops, a school of artisan food, a garden centre, and the Harley Gallery. The gallery and museum displays a selection of fine art and decorative design that has been collected over 400 years by an extended English aristocratic family descending from Bess of Hardwick. Two of its major items are this drawing by Michelangelo and a pearl earring that was worn by Charles I at his execution. The family have found an excellent way in bringing their own private history to a wider modern audience. And it's all set within one of the most historic and iconic areas of the country, Sherwood Forest. Now then, what has all this got to do with this elegant square, designed by Robert Adam and situated just off Tottenham Court Road in central London? I hope you'll come back next time, and then you'll find out. Thanks for joining me this time. Bye-bye for now.